the Indianapolis Colts. This is an interesting one. Three of us with losing records, but just barely. Sora, you have them all the way up at 12-5 and winning the division. Let's hear why you're so high on Indy.
I mean, it's the same thing that I was talking about earlier with J.J. McCarthy. I truly think the injury, as weird as it is to say, the injury that happened to Anthony Richardson, where he was having to be sidelined the entire season, was a blessing in disguise. Dude is an athletic freak, but he needed one more year in college to really learn and develop. He got that, and he was able to get that after having 4 NFL games under his belt as experience. I mean, I think this dude could even be comeback player of the year. Like and listen, I have had my ups and downs. Anthony Richardson is the Florida fan. Lord knows that. Everybody knows that. So it's not even like, oh, he went to Florida, all that stuff. I have my ups and downs with him. But I truly think getting those 4 games of experience in meaningful games, and then having the rest of the year to learn under Shane Steichen, because there was no coach changes. It's the same playbook. So he was able to already work on what was worked on, learn more, and perfect what needed to be perfected. Then you just kind of look at the running back room. Jonathan Taylor, when the dude is healthy, the dude has been top 5. Josh Downs, I know he's a bit questionable. Recently just added Greg Ward, who was also familiar with Shane Steichen. So there's some familiarity there. Adonai Mitchell, he's been looking good in training camp, was a rookie receiver that was brought in. And then Michael Pittman Jr. I guess I'm the only one that likes Michael Pittman Jr. because everybody else likes to hate on that dude. I don't think he's that bad. I think Michael Pittman Jr. gets a lot more hate than really what he deserves. You look at
he's just not elite in anything. I just think he's a number 2 wide receiver in the league.
I think he's good, but that's it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any slight to him. I just don't think he's taking that next level to be elite, in my opinion. Okay, I'm going.
Great voice in the sky.
I mean, I wouldn't say elite either, but I'd definitely say he can be wide receiver 1 on a couple of teams. Indianapolis being one of them. Tight end room's a bit interesting. Kylan Granson, Mo Alley Cox, Jelani Wood. I mean, okay. In the noise canceling headphones, that was loud AF, and I'm deaf now. I don't even remember where I was at. That discombobulated. All right, tight end room. Needs to be worked on. There's some desire there. You look at defense though with 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, DeForest Buckner. I mean, this is a good defense. Kenny Moore still on there. Julian Blackman still on there. This is just some good defense in a very weak conference. The only question that's going to be is, what are the Texans going to look like in this conference, and how is AR going to look like? And again, I think the dude can end up being comeback player of the year. I truly think that experience or that injury was one of the best things to have happened to him, where he can just take time off, perfect the playbook. The time that we thought he needed in college, he got NFL experience, and he got another year of knowledge without having to worry about playing an entire NFL season and having wear and tear on his body. Am I banking a lot on Anthony Richardson? Yes. Is that a risk I'm willing to take? Also, yes.
Like, this team has definitely one of the best offensive lines in the league, in my opinion. Ryan Kelly and Quentin Nelson in the middle. I mean, like, you can't get anything better. Also, Anthony Richardson coming back healthy could win most comeback player of the year with, who was it? Joe Flacco won it last year, if I'm correct, or most improved. Like, having that guy behind you, also with his veteran experience, learning from Joe Flacco is going to help him in the having that kind of knowledge of a Super Bowl winning quarterback behind you, knowing what he's gone through the game, like, that's, you can't measure that kind of knowledge. Like, and also the defense, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not great. But there are some holes there. I will say, I agree with Sora on Michael Pittman. I think everybody hates on him way too much. Adonai Mitchell.
That's my boy Tony.
Adonai Mitchell, hook 'em horns. I think he could be definitely one of the best receivers, well, hopefully rookie receivers in the league. And this team, I have him second only because of another team in the division looking really, really good in my opinion this year.
And also, fuck Alex Pierce. I'll never forgive you and revamped.
Alex,
I don't care.
Yeah,
He's not worthy of doing his. He's not worthy of getting his name right.
Jesus.
The Colts conflict me even more than the Saints. Like, there's a part of me that wants to say that this team could win the division, right? There's a part of me that thinks that they could win over 10 games to be close to where Sora has them, right? But the defense, and more specifically the secondary, and then Anthony Richardson, hold me back. Start with that offense, right? Again, I agree with Tony. One of the better offensive line units in the entire league. Jonathan Taylor, as we know, very talented back. And Trey Sermon is a pretty solid backup who's also young. Although my personal favorite running back in that running back room is Evan Hull out of Northwestern. He's going into his second year. He was do-it-all back at Northwestern. Multiple, like, he had a few games, I believe, where he had over, like, 200 rushing yards and over 100, like, receiving yards as well. Like, he's a pass-catching back. Hull is I wish he just got more opportunities, right? Obviously, he won't unless something happens to him. But Jonathan Taylor is one of the best running backs in the league. They add A.D. Mitchell at wide receiver with Michael Pittman. And, I mean, I think he's going to eat out there, right? Like, again, I think Pittman is a good receiver, not great. I think A.D. Mitchell, I think he could transcend where Michael Pittman is right now. The question, though, is, do they have someone who can bring that all together, right? Enter Anthony Richardson, who has all of the physical abilities that you could ask for, right? He has size, he has speed and power, and he also has a cannon of an arm. He can launch it like 80 yards downfield or whatever it is. And the thing for me is just his accuracy at processing and decision making that it's going to take time to refine. You don't just come by that. I think he's going to be a good player. I think he's going to have a good year. I don't think he's going to have a great year, though. I think he could, right? Like, I know that, Sora, you mentioned how you were really high on him and you think that he's going to do a lot of the things he could do. I guess I'm just on the flip side of that. I think he still could do those things. I think he could lead this team to 12 wins or whatever it is. But
listen, it won't be the first time that I was hyped up on Anthony Richardson and that he's broken my heart. All right, listen, I've got the damn hoodie in the closet, bro. I've got the official AR-15 merch. It's not the first. It probably won't be the last.
And he's going to be a part of the running game too. But I think that running game and leaning on that offensive line and Jonathan Taylor is still going to be the focal point of this offense. I just think that the decision-making and accuracy of Anthony Richardson, as he, you mentioned, Sora, he's only had 4 NFL games under his belt. He's going to need another season or two before, I think he can
not as many college games as he had under his belt.
That's true. Like, he needs more game experience to really become a seasoned vet and become a more refined passer to really get the most out of his physical abilities, right? The raw talent's all there, but he needs to put it all together, and it's going to take time. On defense as a whole, statistically, they were bottom 10 in terms of yardage and scoring, I believe, and they also could not get off the field. They had the second most plays run against them this past year. And their secondary, I really like Kenny Moore, and Ronnie Harrison and Julian Blackmon are solid, but Jalen Jones, Whoop, former Aggie, I know he was a 5-star coming out of high school, but he wasn't great in college, and he might be in line for a starting role. That secondary just gives me reason to worry. Samson Ebukam on the defensive line tore his Achilles. He's going to be out for the entire year. Though they have linebackers are pretty solid, and Zaire Franklin had 179 total tackles this season. And EJ Speed racked up over 100 as well. Both of those guys could be, they were productive this past year. I think that they could be again. So again, the secondary is my reason for concern on that defense, because that defensive line, I mean, you have 𝗕𝘂𝘂𝗀𝗂𝘂, 𝙁𝙤𝙘𝙞𝙀, they just drafted Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, who's again one of the better interior defensive linemen in the league, and one of my personal favorites, another Northwestern man, along with Evan Hull, 𝗕𝘂𝘂𝗀𝗂𝘂𝗶𝗄𝑎𝑏𝗂𝗏𝗂 was a force at Northwestern, and he's an athletic freak. He ran one of the fastest 40s of any defensive lineman in recent memory. And, he's looked good in this preseason too, right? Don't be surprised if he carves out a role in this Indianapolis defensive line. He's one of my personal favorites. This defense is solid. I think that they'll improve on being a bottom 10 in terms of yardage. They just got to improve on third downs. And then the secondary has to get figured out, because I am worried about what they're going to look like. Again, I think that the cap for this team could be 12 or 13 wins, but between their defense, primarily the secondary, Jonathan Taylor, he's missed a few games each season over his career. Is he going to stay healthy? I don't know. And then Anthony Richardson, in my opinion, not quite being there in terms of accuracy and reading defenses. I mean, I think this team is on the brink of being really successful and a really good team, but I just don't think they're quite there yet this season. So I have them going, 8-9, which they could have 12 wins, but I just don't see it happening this year.
I think a lot of it's just going to, and this is the last thing that we'll add about the Colts, and then we'll move on. I think a lot of it is just going to come down to Shane Steichen and what all he's going to be able to do. I mean, we've seen him do it in the past. It's got to be if history can repeat itself.
Yeah, he makes it work with his quarterbacks. We've seen that in the past. We've seen it in Philly, but it's a question of
we've seen it with Hurts. We've seen it with Herbert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I'm a big fan of his. But we'll see if he can work his magic again this year. ECG record, second in the division at 9-8, a winning record. That's what the one you want to book.
And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell notification so you're always notified.
All right. Well, the 12. Oh my god. That's what I'm saying. This one, bro, you just gotta just be you, bro. Just be you, bro.